What?
Well, Richmond and Iowa, naturally they share a lot of similarities. In fact, Iowa Speedway out in Newton, Iowa, that we visited earlier on in the season, is directly inspired by Richmond Raceway in its current configuration. But this track certainly has a lot more challenge to it in terms of the way you drive it. Iowa Speedway, with the corners being a lot wider than they are here, here at Richmond, you are going to have to be possibly on the brakes a bit and working the throttle a lot more than you would Iowa Speedway under just going around hot lap conditions, let alone in the race itself. And already I've actually been watching a few of the guys on their qualifying runs, and a few of them, Guillermo Parkel and Joao Ritter in particular, they have had some major problems with this track, and the field as such is very spread out. So I would, in terms of lap time, I should say. So I would foresee that this is going to be a track that, as usual with Richmond, it favors drivers who do not make errors, and it also favors drivers who can get it just to the limit but not cross. On the pole by about 6/100ths of a second, a fairly big margin by IndyCar standards, is the number 2 machine of Chris Wilhite, who has been putting in a great season so far. Alongside him, the number 11 of Adam Frazier, an old friend of mine from the Lionheart IndyCar Series, in fact. Bruno Miranda, who has put in some very solid performances for himself and a winner at Indianapolis earlier this season on Monday night. He starts third in the 16 machine alongside the 14 of Rodrigo Franzoni. Gonzalo Romero, who was putting in a spectacular show at Las Vegas before a late race crash took him out. He starts fifth of Urban Rubens. Mark A. Murphy in the number 12 starts seventh alongside the 14 of Matthew Mercer. Grayson Diggs, number 5 machine, starts ninth alongside the 17 of Cesaro Maldonado. Two good friends of the show, I should say, with the Race First crew. Dakota DeMake and Thomas Geisler starting 11th and 12th, respectively, in cars 7 and 4. Brian Spots in the 15 starts 13th, alongside the 21 of Aaron McQuarrie. Pablo, and here's a shocker down here on row number 8. Pablo Diaz Francis in 15th, and Adriano Pinero, the winner from the back of the field after being taken out from the pole at Las Vegas, he starts 16th. So those two really fast drivers have got a lot of work to do. Alexandre Rigon starts 17th and number 6 alongside the 9 of the aforementioned Guillermo Parkel, who's had a torrid time of it in qualifying. And 19th and 20th, the 8 of Joao Ritter, who also had problems in qualifying. And the first of the 2 drivers who did not post qualifying times, Alan Moreas, number 18. And shotgun on the field, the 19 of Tim Williams rounds out the 21 cars that will tackle and hope to survive 120 laps here at Richmond Raceway. And we are underway for our pace lap. Hey, we all have those moments, Gary. Don't kick yourself too hard, bud. And I can imagine that a few of these guys are saying that right now because I'm looking at qualifying times. As I mentioned before, the field is more spread out than we're usually seeing in terms of overall pace. Will Height with a mega fast lap. He's the only driver in the 7s, but a lot of drivers, not even in the 17-second bracket, they are down in the 18s. So, and especially the 2 really fast guys I mentioned before, PDF and Adriano Pinero. So they're going to have a lot of stuff to overcome with their setup adjustments to be able to get through this. And once again, as we've seen with Iowa Speedway a few weeks ago, I would imagine it'd be about 70 laps thereabouts on fuel. One-stop race, as we come to expect in this series. So I foresee not only a lot of people trying to make up track position, but I can imagine some hurt feelings in the process as well. We're getting ready to go green. Car goes down. Green flag in the air. Will Height with the jump. We are underway at Richmond. Frazier immediately tucks in behind into second. Miranda also. Oh, Miranda tries a lunge there at Frazier. And here comes Gonzalo Romero to the inside for P3. Still to the inside there. Almost 3 wide there. As Urim Rubens tries to make a move to the outside, but Miranda holds on to that podium spot for now. And meanwhile, here comes Mark Murphy to the low side. No, that's not Mark Murphy. That is trying to pick out who. I believe that's Franzoni and Urim Rubens trying to make moves as well. But Gonzalo Romero, once again, trying to get a run on Miranda. This is the best time to be doing it on fresh tires. You have all the grip in the world. I imagine tire fall off is going to be a big thing here. But Will Height has Frazier in his rearview mirror as well. He's going to try and make moves. But once again, Romero trying to look down low. Not quite getting the run in the mid-corner he needs, though. And Dakota DeMay having a rough start here, down to 15th. That's Gonzalo Romero. Oh, almost contact there with Bruno Miranda. And that's opened the door for Urim Rubens to take advantage. He's up to 4th. He's going to be challenging Miranda for 3rd. Romero up to the high line there. Oh, that's the back out there. Be the case. You get a bit of a push there in with the car behind. The aero push is still a factor there. Romero once again looking at that high line there. But it's opening the door once again for Urim Rubens, who's trying to get the run on the low side there. And now they're 3 wide with Miranda on the top side. Miranda clears them both. Certainly making up all the track position he can is Pablo Diaz-Francis. He's already up into the top 10. Hopefully for him, he'll be able to make some noise towards the front of the pack towards the end of this race. But he's got a limited time frame in which to do it, especially with fresh tires. And, of course, later on in the going, you're not going to have as much grip as you do right now. So he's got to make up track position as much as he possibly can right here and now. And the same holds true with Adriano Pinero, who's trying to make a move on Thomas Geisler for 11th. It can be under the right circumstances. I actually had a talk with Dakota DeMay before this. I believe it will largely come down to what sort of setup adjustments you're running on the car to get as much grip as you can on whatever lane you want. The top line, as usual, is good with momentum off corner, but the low line is good for momentum on corner entry. We'll see which one holds true, both in the mid and both early on in the going here, and also towards the end of this, towards the end of the stint, because I'd imagine that's going to be shifting quite significantly. Oh, Romero, big twitch there coming off of turn number 2. I think he came dangerously close to the turn 2 wall there. Usually the place where you do have a lot of issues here on exit, because that wall just comes right up in your face if you're not careful. May also be down to the fact that the IR18 seemed to be more geared towards mixed purpose, whereas the IR05 was built more as an oval racer near exclusively until, funny enough, until 2005 when they started doing road courses. Here comes Gonzalo Romero to the low line in 1 and 2 on Bruno Miranda for P3 once more. He gets a good run off there. Miranda trying to work that top line. He gets momentum, as I said before. Romero still holding true to that low line there. Not quite enough. Miranda is going to hold off for right now as we're working lap 16 out of 120 here tonight. These laps do go by rather quick as they're working by a lap car. That's Thomas Geisler. I see no front wing on the car either. He comes down on the pit road there. So terrible luck for Geisler. And also on pit road is Adriano Pinero. I did see them racing close together, so that seems like a major possibility, but terrible fortune so far for not only for Geisler, but for the winner last time out. An amazing drive at Las Vegas, Adriano Pinero. So 2 fast guys are already out of the mix. And no caution, though. They were able to keep it going. But I can imagine that this is one of those tracks historically where if you make even the tiniest of errors, you make the tiniest of miscalculations, it is going to utterly ruin your night. Very close one there for Adam Frazier. Gets a bit twitchy there coming off of turn number 2. He collects it up, of course. He's still holding on to position number 2 right now. Lost a little bit of time to Chris Wilhite, but still within a second of that number 2 machine is the 11 of Adam Frazier. But these guys, I'd imagine that naturally, of course, if we go green for a long time, you are going to want to stay out of the pits as long as you possibly want, as long as you possibly can, with green flag pit stops being the way they are here at Richmond. And it's going to be multiple laps down, at least 2 laps down for the guys that come into green flag pit stops. And if a caution comes out afterwards, they are going to be fuming, because that is going to be their night pretty much shot at that point. Oh. Urim Rubens, meanwhile. Urim Rubens with a save there. But this is the stuff we're talking about here. The tires are deteriorating right now, it seems, for a lot of these guys. They need to make their adjustments. They need to adjust their bars, their weight jacker, all the adjustments so far. I even heard Dakota DeMay talking about a different engine map setting, running map number 7 in these cars to prevent wheel spin. Unfortunately, and Dakota DeMay has actually gained a few spots as well. He's up to 11th once more. But that is one of the problems that I'm hearing with the setups right now, and that is wheel spin on exit of the corner. You have to be incredibly careful with your throttle input, especially on worn out tires, to prevent you from just looping it on your own. DeMay getting by. Very true. Very unusual to see third gear being used on ovals. In fact, I think one of the few other ovals I see that happen is at Twin Ring Motegi of all places in 3 and 4 there. But that's just the nature of the beast and the setups that they use. And this is certainly true of the setups they use here. But here at Richmond, he's certainly using a lot of revs to keep the car, not only keep the momentum up in the middle of the corner, but also seems to be the way that he wants the car to run. And this is rather odd because a lot of the times where, caution is out. And I see Guillermo Parkel is around on the back straightaway. Leaders just barely avoided him too. Oh. It looks like he did. Did get loose off of turn number 2. Very unfortunate for Guillermo Parkel, who's had a rough night already so far. But now he's actually missed his pit entrance, and he's just limping the car around right now, trying to get around on the next lap. But that is pretty much game over. I see broken suspension on quite a few corners of that car as the leaders are coming on the pit road. Wilhite, Frazier, Miranda is staying out. Romero, Franzoni, Rubens, PDF, Murphy, DeMay, and Mercer, 9 of the top 10 have stayed and have come onto pit road. Looks like Frazier. One-third of the way already, and we're only a quarter of the way to the race. Hopefully, they'll keep it clean enough. But for Miranda's strategy, it may be a gamble, like you said, Gary, but I think that if there's any track, if there are tracks where that may well be a gamble you could reasonably get away with, Richmond could well be it, especially with the way the setup is and the way it's caught out a few people so far. Almost caused a few incidents before this. So I reckon that it's a gamble, yes, but it's a gamble that is not without merit, I'd say. Not too sure what the situation is there. Seem to be a bit confused on the matter as Alan Morea, is actually the one that's dropped to the back after all of that as everything cycles down. But Guillermo Parkel, meanwhile, if I want to give an update on him, he has made it down onto pit road. And unfortunately, I'm looking actually at the situation right now with Miranda staying out. There's 3 cars behind him that are not too pleased right now with the situation. That is Pinero, Spots, and Geisler. They are not going to get a lap back. So Pinero is making his way on the pit road. So this is going to be an interesting scenario here. Miranda, of course, is going to have the clean air that he wants, and he's got 3 lap cars as a buffer to Chris Wilhite behind him. But Wilhite and Frazier have fresh tires. We'll see how quick they can work their way up through here. Pace car is off. Miranda gets the launch. Green flag back in the air on lap number 36 we're starting. So keeping an eye on Wilhite, Frazier, and Gonzalo Romero, as actually Romero and Frazier go side by side in 1 and 2. Romero on the low side. He is going to clear Adam Frazier. But these guys still have these lap cars to deal with it. They're going to catch back up to Bruno Miranda ahead of them. Romero, meanwhile, looking to make up ground. He's working to the high side now. 1 and 2. Oh, that was so close for Gonzalo Romero. But now he's got the lap car in his way there. Wilhite doesn't. Meanwhile, might they go 3 wide here? Wilhite, they're 3 wide with a lap car up high. Oh, Brian spots up there. I see debris on the circuit right now. Of course, that has no effect on the cars, but someone's taking wing damage. But Gonzalo Romero with a bold move. Meanwhile, behind them, Franzoni and Frazier make contact off of turn number 4. They gather it up, though. But that's something that I'm sure Frazier in particular is not going to be happy about. But Romero with a fantastic run. Yes, we do. And PDF, Pablo Diaz-Francis, he is in 6th position right now. He's gained 9 spots since the start of this race, and he's trying to work the high side on Rodrigo Franzoni, who meanwhile is trying to go on the low side of Adam Frazier for 4th. Oh, bold move there. Franzoni pushing up high. Frazier in the back of contact there with PDF. Pablo Diaz-Francis in the wall. Caution is out. But a great try for PDF comes to a premature end on lap number 40. Pablo Diaz-Francis is not happy about that. Wow. Looking at Franzoni, because he was the guy that he made contact with there. He's on the trying to work side by side with Frazier, and it looks like, yeah, he just lit up the rear tires on exit there and nearly spun the car himself. Gathers it up, but unfortunately, PDF becomes a victim of circumstance. And sadly for Franzoni as well, I see rear suspension damage on his car. He's brought onto pit road too. Oh, no. See him sitting on pit road right now, and seems like he's actually out of the race car right now as the crew actually goes to work and trying to effect repairs. Apparently he got the car towed. He's actually back in the car right now, so you are right. Seems like he's determined to get as many points as he possibly can out of this, even if the car seems like I don't think, I get the feeling it's not going to be handling the way he wants it to for the remainder of this race. And working lap 45 here, we still got 75 laps to go. So he is going to have a long night of it. Oh, so have I. So, yeah, I mean, I feel sympathy for literally everybody involved here. PDF, particularly, Rodrigo Franzoni for that moment he had himself, and Brian Spots for being the lap car that's just like, please don't kill me, please don't do this to me. I'm trying to give you as much room as I can, fellas. The lights are out once more on the pace car, and Bruno Miranda holds on to that lead, but a fast-charging Gonzalo Romero on fresh tires, and I'm sure determined to make up for what happened on Monday night at Las Vegas Motor Speedway last week. He is looking strong right now, and even still, they have a lap car separating Romero and Chris Wilhite, our pole sitter, who's back in P3. Miranda with the launch. Romero tried to stay with him there. Of course, they got a buffer behind them in the form of Thomas Geisler trying to hold up and trying to hold on to track position in what he can and make up spots. But Chris Wilhite probably not enjoying it too terribly much. But Gonzalo Romero trying to hunt down Bruno Miranda, who's gotten a great launch so far, enjoying that clean air. Oh, as I saw Geisler running up very close to that wall there as Wilhite down to the low side. He will clear him, and now he sets his sights on the 10 machine ahead of him. Certainly is. It's a lot more abrupt than it is at Iowa Speedway now. A lot of people, when they talk about Iowa Speedway, you think abrupt, you think of the bumps there at Iowa Speedway. This track is smooth as glass, but it doesn't feel like it in one particular way, and that's because when you're coming off of turn number 2, it tightens up significantly, and the banking just drops away completely, so you're going to have to straighten up the car a lot quicker than you would at Iowa, where you have that little bit of breathing room. To the inside of Brian Spots, who still doing his level best to get himself some positions, as I see PDF leaving the pits, letting everyone go by on the low side there, as Dakota DeMeg trying to work his way around these lap cars there. Spots not exactly being all that helpful at the moment, but it's not been too much of a hindrance so far, I don't think. There he goes. Oh, almost. Spots trying to hold on the high side. Now he clears him this time, and now he's sets his sights on Adam Frazier up ahead. But looking at the gap so far, Miranda and Romero separated by just under a second, but Wilhite now 3.1 seconds behind the race leader. These two have gotten themselves a good jump so far. Mark Murphy now has Brian Spots to deal with. And Mercer, oh, Mercer slided there. You could see that. He was hanging on for dear life there. He saves it. But meanwhile, behind him, Cesar Manzado is having to deal with Adriano Pinero, who's trying to work his way up from 3 laps down, probably being a right nuisance to these guys. But Pinero trying to get himself in the best position to pick up the spoils of everyone else. But it's cost Manzado. Yeah, I was going to say, it cost Manzado a position to Joao Ritter, who started at the back of the pack, now in the top 10 right now in 10th position. And he has got Alexander. Oh, that's Mark Murphy around. And Mercer nearly had some contact there with Pinero. Alexandre Ragon gathers it up. No caution yet. But these are the leaders going by right now. He's got to be very careful here. And that's Chris Wilhite I see behind him. Very close quarter stuff there. But Alexandre Ragon seems like he's gotten the worst of it right now. But Mark Murphy's also lost spots too. Yeah, and I don't blame Ragon in that instance, but yeah, I see what he was trying to go for there, but the car just seems like it really doesn't like being abruptly unloaded, which is a bad thing here at Richmond, especially because turn number 2 seems to be one of those corners that unloads the car better than almost any other corner on an oval track. So it's certainly a challenging night there, and that's a challenging situation for Ragon to be in. He's now 1 lap down. And he's hoping right now for a caution to come out, all the leaders to come on the pit road for that final set of tires so he can get up there as well. But it's still not a situation that Ragon likes to see, and he's probably kicking himself right now. Long way to go. Amazing when you think about 63 laps in. We're just over halfway through this race. We've done 63 laps in 24 minutes. That's how fast the laps are at this place. As Bruno Miranda opens up a 1.3 second lead over Gonzalo Romero, who at this point, the fresher tires are probably not nearly as fresh as they were at the start, and we've gotten to that point of equilibrium, as I've said before, where the more the tire wear, this is the point. What I'm trying to say, trying to get the point across that at this point in the game, the tires are not really working on both their cars as well as they could. So you're not seeing the progress from Romero that you would from Miranda right now, even though Romero's tires are much older. Well, 70 laps seems to be about where you'd expect on a green flag run. Of course, he's been able to save fuel on on the caution laps, and maybe a bit when he was in the draft of the cars in front of him early on in the going. But I don't foresee it being much longer than, say, lap 80 perhaps, that Miranda can really go for. And I'd imagine if a caution were to come out now, Miranda is ducking on the pit road, no question about it. Somewhere in that area, I would reckon. Miranda, as much as he's enjoying the clean air right now, he is probably begging for a yellow flag to come out at this point. Unless, of course, and at this point, a lot of these guys may well be in a similar, they may well have to pit for fuel at the end of this race as the way things are going now, with Romero and Wilhite in particular. But for Miranda, that is something, it's something that if you're someone like me, you're weighing all the numbers in your head while you're driving, and you're thinking that, and you're trying to think of all the variables as well, but you're also trying to keep the thing going and leaving it up to the racing gods to decide if you're right or wrong. I believe yeah, I believe that's Pinero in front of him. Yep, that is Adriano Pinero. 3 laps down. He's the first of the cars to be a lap down the leaders, even if he is 3. And he is running in 13th position. So Pinero seems to be doing a decent job picking up the spoils of everyone else. I could say the same for Alexandre Ragon, who unfortunately is now 5 laps down. He came onto pit road. He's actually leaving pit road right now 6 laps down. So Ragon seems to be Ragon going for fuel strategy right here, and I'm betting what he's banking on here is everybody else in front of him making green flag pit stops as that was close there with Gonzalo Romero. Still going to be a rough going, I would imagine, for the driver of that number 6. Very rare to see on on oval for certain. No, no, that's what happened there. That was the 21 machine of Aaron McQuarrie making contact, checking up with Parkel, and Gonzalo Romero can't get down to the low side in time. He gets into them, and Parkel is on his roof. That is going to be our third caution of the night. We have reached our third. That's the over-under right there. But Miranda... and he's got... I think McQuarrie's car got a bit loose on him on entry there. Yeah. Yeah, not the move I would have made there in that position. But meanwhile, the leaders have, as I mentioned before, they're on pit road. Everyone has made their stop, and the guys like Romero and Will Height, they have taken their second and final set of tires available for this race. So this is the best rubber they'll possibly get for the remainder of this event, coming to the end of lap 77 of 120. Just over 40 laps will need to be done on these tires from here on out. Actually, I'm seeing... And what I'm seeing here as well, the top three right now, Chris Wilhite, Adam Frazier, and Trey Shadid have all stayed out. Romero, Miranda, and DeMague have pitted. So Wilhite on older tires seems like he wants to do the same thing that Miranda did earlier. He, of course, pitted earlier, so he'll be in a situation where he'll be able to run a bit longer. Perhaps he'll be hoping for another yellow to come out to save fuel at this point. I'd have to double check and see when Will Height last came in. Well, that I want to double check and see. 47. So it's going to be very tight for him. Very, very tight at this point. We're going to have just under 40 laps to go here. It's possible, yes. And especially with the cautions right now, and maybe a bit of fuel save as the run goes on, he could probably make this. Wilhite could probably make this work. Especially if we get another caution, and of course, break our prediction for the over-under on cautions. So... yeah, I'd be a bit wary on that bet there, Gary. But lights are out once more on the are the lights out on the pace car once more? Trying to see. Yes, they are. We are one lap to green. So we'll see if this gamble that Will Height has played, it has potential. Let's see if it works out for him. He's going to have clean air in front of him. I'm sure he's loving the sight of this. Pace car is off. Will Height on the throttle. Frazier, long way back, actually. Green flag back in the air, but a big jump for Will Height over Frazier. But Frazier not giving in that easy. He's working that medium line, trying to get a run off the corner. And he's going to stay with him there. But Trey Shadid has got Thomas Geisler in front of him to keep pace with those two leaders. But meanwhile, here come the fast guys on fresh tires. Oh, that seems to be running all right now. Ooh, a bit twitchy there off of turn number 2. As Miranda tries to look to the low line, as Paulo Diaz-Francis trying to... Will PDF possibly hold up Miranda so his teammate can get by? Oh, PDF. Very close stuff there. But Gonzalo Romero on the top side, trying to get the launch off of 3 and 4. It's certainly possible. Here he comes. He has got the run there. Will this work perfectly? It did work. So a little bit of team play there from the two teammates there. Very well done, and it gets Gonzalo Romero ahead in the race of the fresh tire runners. And now he's actually gotten by Trace Shadid as well. So up to P3, a fantastic restart so far for Gonzalo Romero. And now we'll see if this game works out for him, or will it work out for the two leaders, as Frazier and Wilhite are actually very close to each other, battling for the lead of this race. Under 2 tenths. But here comes Gonzalo Romero. Bull move to the inside of Thomas Geisler. Oh. This is the time to do it. Here comes Romero to the low side in turn number 1 on Adam Frazier for second. Frazier nowhere near the grip that number 11 machine has got. He has to, the 10 machine has to say, the 11 has to back out early. But Wilhite now going to be under major pressure from a car on fresh rubber. Let's see if this all works out in his favor. Oh, that was Guillermo Parkel up on the high side there. Lap cars once again coming into the fray here. Romero, they both run that low line there. Romero trying to get the launch off the corner. That was close there on the exit of turn number 4. Working lap number 89. Romero trying everything to get that run before the tire wear comes into play for that number 10 machine. Romero to the low side now, side by side with Wilhite, not quite having the grip in the middle of the corner. Wilhite has the launch. He still holds on to that lead. Romero now trying to send it on the high side on him. Ooh, ooh. Romero, I think, got a bit twitchy there in the middle of turn number 3. He's got to be very careful with this, but he has got to do everything he can to get by him on these fresher tires before they start to wear down. Romero trying everything in the book right now. Once again, now looking to the low side in turn number 1. Side by side once more for the lead. Oh, almost contact there, but keeps them off of each other. Romero, caution is out. Trying to find who that was. Guillermo Parkel. A very rough night. Just keeps getting worse and worse, it seems, to the number 9. That was actually just lost on his own. He was trying to fight the car off the exit of 4, and he just lost in the middle of the straightaway while he was trying to save it. Yeah, and he's already 18 laps down to the race leaders, down in 18th position, staying out. Well, yes, because he would get a penalty if he came in on that lap, but I would imagine that penalty may not be, that if he was thinking of calling it quits, that may well be the last thing he'd be concerned about. Yeah, he is. I see his laps are not being registered, so he does certainly have a meatball flag if the image of the car and that left front wheel wobbling around, if that wasn't an indication enough. But Parkel certainly has a meatball flag. He has to come on the pit road to address that. Geisler looks like he's going to be coming in next to him. So we'll see if Parkel decides to tough it out here. But this has already been a torrid night for the number 9 of Guillermo Parkel. We've all had those rough times, but yeah, this is just one of those nights, it seems. Very, very rough going for him. Yes. Yes. This is true, and same with Indianapolis back in those times too. I would agree completely, and I personally think the worst example of that is actually at Dover Speedway, a track, yeah, a track dear to my heart. Of course, it's actually pretty local to me, about 45 minutes away from where I live, in fact. But Dover, in these cars we saw last season, they were going about 205 miles an hour, up to 210 in the draft. But you had to lock it down and get it down to, I believe it was like 35 miles an hour. 35 miles an hour. That is just pain, utter pain, to not only get it down there in time and to avoid a penalty, but also just the feeling of how slow you're going. Speaking of going slow, we're not going to be doing that soon. We're going to be going fast as pace car is down. Wilhite gets on the throttle once more. Green flag back in the air. Let's see if this duel between Wilhite and Romero, let's see how this turns out as we're working lap 99. Fantastic launch for Romero, and he makes the most of it. He clears Wilhite. The number 10 gets to the race lead. Gonzalo Romero, a fantastic race so far, and he is in the lead of it right now. This is exactly what Romero wants. Fantastic stuff. That's one of those situations, I think, where laying back a little bit on that start actually was an advantage for him. He got a massive run, carried as much momentum as he could in 1 and 2, and just slingshot right by Wilhite like he was tied to a post. But Wilhite now under pressure from another one of the guys on fresh tires, Bruno Miranda, and trying to work to the inside of Adam Frazier in front of them. And look who has joined the top 5 battle as well. Started 19th. Joao Ritter is up in 5th. That's certainly probably why he is the champion. He's been patient all throughout this race. Has been rather quiet, but it's the quiet guys you gotta be careful for, as Bruno Miranda and Adam Frazier side by side. Frazier still has the run off of turn number 4, but Miranda on fresher tires in the same situation that Romero was with Wilhite earlier. He's going to try and get as much momentum as he possibly can, but here comes Frazier, here comes Ritter. Dakota DeMeg, a fantastic start after struggles early on in the race. Was started 11th, was down in the back of the top 20. He is now in 6th. A fantastic recovery drive from Dakota DeMeg, who, fun fact, was not particularly keen about this race tonight. He was apparently he doesn't particularly like this track very much, but who knows, maybe it's one of those moments where the track decides that he wants to make amends, you know. But meanwhile, Miranda and Frazier, this battle has not ended at all. Miranda had a good run in the middle of the corner there, but Frazier had a run on exit there. Can Miranda clear him? Maybe. Yes, he does. Miranda does clear Adam Frazier. He is up to P3. Can he run down Chris Wilhite, though, on that fresher rubber, though? Or have we gotten to the crossover point as Romero sets his sights away on sets his sights on a victory perhaps tonight, working lap 109. We're getting close to the 10 laps to go mark. And Guillermo Parkel, I saw down there on that low line there, he is still soldiering on down in 18th position, 23 laps down to the leaders. A very rough night for him, but he is doggedly soldiering on there. Probably holding on to hope right now, or just wants to maybe not take as big a safety rating hit as he could. But meanwhile, Ritter and Frazier for fourth. Here comes Ritter to the inside in turn number 4. And here also comes Dakota DeMague into the picture too. Definitely in agony right now are Adam Frazier's tires. DeMague looking to the inside there. Didn't quite have the run there. Ritter trying to work that medium groove there. Trying to get a launch on Frazier on the approach to turn number 3. Frazier down on the low side. Ritter working the top. Dakota also had a look to the low side too. Not quite doing it there. But looking at gaps once more, Gonzalo Romero, your leader, about 1.5 seconds over Chris Wilhite, who's about a second ahead of Bruno Miranda. And this battle, meanwhile, about 4.5 seconds behind race leader Dakota DeMague, trying to send it down on the low side there as we're working lap 115 for the leaders. We'll be coming to 5 to go next time by. Dakota again trying to use that low line there. He's not quite get the momentum off corner that Joao Ritter is. But speaking of which, Ritter now on the low side of Adam Frazier. As we mentioned before, Frazier's tires are over 80 laps old there. They have got to be shot at this point. Ritter on the low side there gets a great launch. He is going to be up to P4. And here comes Dakota DeMague too. Ooh, almost contact there with Adam Frazier. Still side by side in the middle of the corner there. DeMague gets the run there. Frazier's tires are pretty much done and dusted at this point. Romero has put in a fantastic drive so far. Good strategy, good fortune coming his way, and just unbridled aggression, but also patience has served him well tonight. And he is going to get the win that he believes he should have gotten at Las Vegas last week. Certainly seems that way. White flag in the air for the number 10 machine. Meanwhile, Ritter and DeMague back there battling for 4th place. But Gonzalo Romero wins at Richmond, brushes the wall a little bit in celebration as he takes the checkers. Gonzalo Romero wins the day at Richmond. And Ritter holds on to 4th place ahead of Dakota DeMague by about 0.2 of a second. Good effort by everyone and to keep it off the wall. And certainly turn into a pretty good showing tonight here at Richmond Raceway. Yeah, it was pretty close to our over-under. So... I see Chris Wilhite down here.
I forgot to look before I bounced out. We wore down that right front. we
Yeah.
we got all the use. We got out of the use of that right front that we could. Absolutely, and I thought honestly, if it shook out that same way pre-race, I kind of thought, yeah, maybe we'll come in and pit and get the second set of tires. But the first stop, Bruno stayed out, and those were a good solid 35 laps, and he was pulling away from us. So when I saw
Mhm.
that, I kind of modified it on the fly, and especially when I saw Gonzalo come down, I knew I was going to stay out. And at the end of the day, it probably was what it was because I think if I had fresh tires and Gonzalo was in front of me, I don't think I would have gotten past him anyway. So I really think it worked out that way. But yeah, definite strategy play to get that fresh air again. No, not really. I mean, he made a great move on that restart. I think he took the high line in 1 and 2, got an awesome run, and I tried everything I could do to stay beside him in 3 and 4 because I think if I could stay beside him, I would have had the run in 1 and 2, and I could have pinched him down a little bit. And I may have been able to hold him off, but once he got me clear, it was clear sailing for him. So congrats on him. Good grace. Good strategy. We're happy. It was a big SOF, so it's going to be a good points night for us, especially with Adriano had some problems in qualifying and then got in a wreck, and he's probably going to be our, at least as of right now, he's our primary competition for the points. So good points night.
Certainly a good points haul there, and especially for a track that seems to have a bit of a mixed reputation amongst drivers. Some people like it. A lot of people are a bit anxious whenever they see Richmond on the schedule. When it comes to Richmond itself in the Indy cars, would you consider it a fun track for you? Would you consider it something that you just want to get over with?
I think it's a fun track. It's a track you got to drive, right? I mean, last week we were at Vegas, and you're flat out. You're in a pack. You're just basically trying to find air, and that's it. Richmond, you got to wheel the car. Setup was a little sketchy. It was loose at times, tight at times. So um, it was a tough night. I'll be honest. Props to everybody in the race. I really thought we would have more cautions than we had. So great job by all the drivers to kind of survive. So I enjoyed it. But you know what? I'm done here for the week. Yeah, quick shout out to Highside Motorsports, Bumper Thumper, and Premier Racing Setups. Got something new going on with them, so shout out to those guys. And thank you guys and Race First for broadcasting again. I'll be watching it back tomorrow. Yep, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
I also see Dakota DeMeg down there as well. Yeah. Just
Yay.
because we love you, dude.
Yeah, and I just got a freight train on the bottom line. It kind of happens, and it took me a while to get back up to the top line. And then once I did, you kind of find the groove, and then it was just a matter of keeping your tires in a better condition. Trying not to wear them out as fast, kind of like Iowa. And then, of course, a little bit of pit strategy and a little bit of dodging wrecks here and there, and end up with the top 5. So, yeah, I'll take it.
So, so I recall before the race started, like I knew that, like you were a bit, shall I say, apprehensive about racing here tonight. You were having a hard time with it, and you were having and you weren't particularly keen on the track anyway. Would you say that a top 5 result may be well your track's way of wanting to make amends, perhaps?
Um, yeah, yeah, I wasn't sure how tonight was gonna go, with the setup being as loose as it was, and there's actually less cautions than I thought there would be. So, I ran about a little better than I expected. So, yeah, I'll take it for what it is.
Yeah, and and with of course with Richmond being the one of the few short tracks on the schedule here, I imagine that you were banking a lot on banking a lot on some drama happening to get the best result, perhaps. But seemed like the strategy worked out very well for you in the end, the top 5.
Yeah, I thought older tires weren't gonna be as strong as they were, but they actually did kind of hold up quite a bit, as we saw Miranda make that first stint pretty long, and as well as Chris staying out on those old tires at the end there. So yeah, no, it turned out to be an interesting race. So yeah. um, Yeah, shout out to Sunset Arctic Games. That's my company. You can follow me on Twitter at Sunset Arctic. I got a game on Steam coming out in the next couple months called Echo Blade. You guys can check that out now. If you guys need any iRacing paints or graphics or anything, you can reach me at sunarc_graphics, or you reach me on Discord or anything, and I can get those made for you as well. Yeah, thank you guys.
Mm-hmm. Well, Richmond usually is one of those tracks where you're not exactly sure what you're going to get. It's like the whole box of chocolates analogy. Tonight, though, we didn't get the kind of wrecking that